not the counter punch.
Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, Rivers Hoopers targets the Nigerian Basketball Federation, coming in from tennis, defending champion Exit Davis Cup. And in football, African team shines at Under-17 World Cup. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break. Stay with us.
Telling him not to counter punch.
Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and I have with me award-winning Sarah Davis.
Good morning, Cyril. Nice to be here again.
Okay, as usual, we'll get started on the local scene, and we'll start in handball, where the Niger United coach Yekini Adebayo has hailed his team as win over rival safety shooters in the handball. Players are ready to emerge the best team at the end of the season. The handball season got underway, and it looks like early starters are coming the way of Niger.
It's a plus for them, but then you look at the win. It's a slim win, 24-23. So it's not yet to hurry for them. They have to buckle up. I think they still have about 1 or 2 hurdles to cross.
Quite a lot of hurdles to say. I must say the season is just getting started. Rima Strikers were better in one of their other fixtures, and in the main category, we saw Lagos Seasiders beat Police Machine 31-22, while Benue Buffaloes defeated the defenders 32-28. In the female category, Bayelsa Queens lost to Safety Babes 18-26. Seaside Babes fell to Defender Babes 21-36, while Benue Queens beat Bedell Dynamos 23-19. Bayelsa Queens starting on the wrong foot.
Unfortunately for them, it's a sad one. They had the hopes of the South on their shoulder, and unfortunately for them, they fell, down the peg, and right now, things, not playing out too well.
African qualifiers for the 2024 International Cricket Council T20 World Cup gets underway today in Namibia. Nigeria's main cricket national team, the Yellow Greens, that's what they are called, are set to vie for the top 2 spots on the back of a confidence-boosting victory in a friendly series in Zimbabwe just a couple of days ago. Grim, you think that this Yellow Greens from Nigeria will get at one of the tickets at this international cricket championship?
Well, it's going to be very tough for them. The Yellow Greens will draw some positives, from some of the friendlies they played, in Zimbabwe, prelude, to all of this. We were told that if the report has it that our team, Nigeria arrived in Vindec on Monday, and of course they'll be making their first appearance in the T20, World Cup. They have the likes of, Kenya, Tanzania, the host nation, Uganda and some other countries, to contend with. But first test for them, they go up against, Kenya. Against Kenya. If they do well against Kenya, then they probably would have continued to get some positive from the friendlies they had in Zimbabwe and then getting that win against Kenya, going up, in the next game. I think, their next game will be against, I should think they go up against Uganda or so in the next game. But let's see what they play against, Kenya.
Talking about the T200 World Cup bill for the United States of America and West Indies from June the 4th to 30th this year. That's just about next year, so to say. The top two teams from this African Championship will qualify for the World Cup.
I should think that, they shouldn't be afraid. We've seen, teams, getting into competition for the very first time, and then, they get to do well. I mean, you look at the way they qualified, last year, they had the likes of, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe, some of these countries, to contend with. So I'm sure, they are gradually, gathering, confidence. The momentum is to get, one pass against Kenya, and then you must have to look at the one in front of you before you begin to look at it. You have to start from one. So let's look at what they play against Kenya.
Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, all the stumbling blocks for Nigerians green, yellow, yellow greens, and so we hope that they will surmount them and qualify for the World Cup proper in just a few months away from now. Let's quickly see whether we can go to basketball. And talking about basketball reminds me that the Final Four, the Nigerian Basketball Federation Final Four, gets away in Port Harcourt tomorrow. Today is arrival day, and the Niger basketball court along in the city of Port Harcourt is already buzzing with frenzy. A lot of people are around. The facilities, we understand, are ready. But we'll just be to see whether we can be joined by Queen Mosef Joseph, who is the media officer of Rivers Hoopers, doing basketball here in Nigeria.
Absolutely ready. Very ready. Very ready. More ready than where we are at the moment. So that's how well we started off the season, finishing unbeaten in the last two phases and taking it to the final. The only difference now is that Port Harcourt is hosting it and we are playing it on our home court. So that's the added advantage for us. So we are prepared for this. Looking back at the fact that last year we was in the semi-final, that one was the final 8, but this time here we was in the semi-final, that one was the final 8, but this time is final 4. A big derby for all the teams, not just the River Supers. So because we know that every game, as the game will tip off tomorrow, counts for everyone. You lose one game, just count yourself that you are almost out of contention. So we are very ready, mentally, physically. The guys are ready, the players are ready. The coaching crew are also ready. Like I was talking to Coach Ogon early hours this morning when he got up. It was like, I couldn't sleep. I know the tension, the pressure is on him at the moment because he's thinking how to outsmart and outthink his opponent and the coaching crew of the other team, especially the first game tomorrow. So he's having a lot of sleepless nights, and you wouldn't want to be in his shoes at the moment. I don't envy him at all because it stops at him to make sure that the guys will deliver. He has what it takes to win it. We have most of the best players in Nigeria as we speak. If you look at the point guards, go to the shooting guards, we have the best in the country. No doubt they are the best in the country. So, but from the beginning of the department, from the point guard session to the center row, we have all the best players on the team across Nigeria. So we are loaded and very much prepared. You look at how the court is at the moment. I shared videos and pictures of how the setup is in 9th Street, that the court on 9th Street to 9th Street. We are very much prepared. The court is ready. It's just finishing touches. So after the fact that the players are ready to get on court, Port Harcourt and also the 9th Street court as well is ready to have fans come watch the River Supers and cheer them to victory.
Okay, let's just hope that we can have video of the state of the court right now at Niger Street. But Sarah, let's look at while we will take a look at that video. What is the state of the facility now? We know that the last time this same court hosted a championship of this nature was about 13 years ago. Down the lane, how is the state of the facilities as you can see?
It's better off. It's better off compared to last last few years, especially like precisely the last time we hosted a major tournament there was the Division 1 tournament, and that was when the River Supers got relegated in 2015, and then they were trying to return to the Premier League. So it hosted December 2015, like the first week of December in 2015 was the last time we hosted a major event for the River Supers competed in, talking about finals or a major tournament. So, but the last time we played a big competitive basketball league game was in 2017, July 22, 2017, we played against Customs. That was the last time at all. Compared to what we've had in the last 6 years or 7 years or 8 years till now, I think it's better off. If you also take a look at the dressing room, it was properly taken. I didn't share videos of that because they were still trying to do a touch on it. But you look at the toilet, you look at the dressing room, it's far better than what we also better off as well. The rims as well, the uprights, is quite better than what we used to have. So compared to years ago, I think there's an upgrade. So when people come around to see what the cut is at the moment, comparing to what we've had in the last few months or few years, they'll be able to spot the difference.
Well, let's now get to the brass tacks. The teams, the other 3 teams that will take part in this Final Four, are they here in Port Harcourt as we speak?
Yes, I can authoritatively say that Boko City Chiefs are also here. They got in here first because they flew down from Abuja yesterday. I think they got in like about 1 or 2 p.m. While for Customs got in later in the evening. They also had to fly as well, which is commendable. Our roads are not so friendly, and looking at the distance from Abuja to Port Harcourt. So arriving 2 days, because today is supposed to be arrival day, so arriving 2 days before the tip-off is quite commendable because you have your guys rest and then settle in to just be about going to have a 1-hour training session today or so, and then get ready mentally for the game tomorrow. So I can authoritatively say that Customs and City Chiefs are here for hoops and rigs. It's not really glaring because they are not really not putting a lot of information out there. So I don't know if they're trying to support information. But for those 2, they are here. So but hopefully we'll hear about hoops and rigs later.
Well, talking about your opponents in this Final Four, City Chiefs from Boko, there is the Customs and Hoops and Ribs. I'm very sure there may be one of these teams that you think could be most, do I say, formidable opponent ahead of the Final 2.
Yes, I think initially we're looking at we're thinking it's going to be a round robin game. Then afterward, the top 2 will get on to play a final on Sunday. So, but it was clarified. Talking about the NBBF now, there are not enough funds to provide subsidy for teams to. They don't want teams to stay extra days. So rather than have a final 2 where they get to play the final, let's just all play a round robin game. Just each game must count. The team with the highest number of wins or points get to win the title. And that's the same format that was introduced for the girls 2 months ago. That's the Zenith League. What they had to do was that they played the Final Four. So this is the first time ever we are playing the Final Four in the Nigerian Basketball League. It's usually Final 8 where you play round robin. Top 4 go to the semis, and then top 2 go to the final to play the final. So but this time we are having Final Four. And looking at how girls played, they all played round robin. The last game, last round of the games, the last day was the deciding moment for Customs and MFM, who eventually won it. And if I'm trying to play around the minds of the technical committee of the Nigeria Basketball Federation, the way they've set up the schedule, they're looking at the fact that they're expecting that City Chiefs and Hoops and Ridge will lose their games, River Supers and Customs, because Customs and River Supers are down on an 11 unbeaten run, while River Supers are on a 10-match unbeaten run. That is because in Akure, we didn't have one team they didn't come. They failed to turn up. While for in Abuja, one team also didn't turn up. But in the first phase, we have about 2 teams who didn't turn up from our own phase, while theirs was just 1. So that's why they have that 1 game ahead of us. So they are unbeaten this season as well as the River Super. So they are thinking we both win our 2 games, and then the last game will be between River Supers and Customs on the last day, and that will be the deciding moment. But sports and basketball, football, whatever it is, can be very tricky. Anything can happen. Who knows? We might win our 2 games and Customs get to lose. We eventually get to meet somebody else. It might be dicey at the end of the day and to now be down to points or goal difference, all of that. So, but that was what was playing on the minds of the technical committee, looking at the fact that the 2 sides had formidable use of sport, where we didn't get because of government interference. We won that game against Customs because we met them in the semifinals as well. The final 8, we met them in the semifinal. So, but even before these last 2 years, they were initially in the Atlantic Conference before they moved the team to Abuja. The Customs team against River Supers have always been rivals in the Atlantic Conference. So now they've moved it a bit higher. But this time around, it is going to be an evenly matched team. You look at the Customs setup. They are a bunch of experienced players who have done this, they've done that, they've been in the D Tigers team, whether the home-based D Tigers or the main D Tigers team. Someone like Abdul Yahya, who has won the title like 2 or 3 times with the Kano Pillars. Ibeagu, who has also played and won with Gombe Bulls as well. Godwin, David, a lot of them are around the mix. So it is a huge mix of who also is like, and also on the national team, they were assistant coaches. So they are always at par and probably moving around together. So it's going to be interesting to see how these 2 teams will go at loggerheads with each other on Saturday. So, but you cannot rule the fact that these 2 teams, River Supers and Customs, are the main rivals of this particular tournament. And you
about getting the ticket and returning to the continent after the inaugural appearance a couple of years ago. Hope we can get Queen back.
The fact that you are going back to the BAL. And for a team like River Supers who have been to the BAL before, you know what it entails to be there and the kind of exposure it offers you. Aside exposure, it offers you the funding it will get. You would get the extra stipends and all of that, the allowance you will get directly from the BAL. This is not just the River State government or even maybe the River Supers management. This one, you're going to be paid in dollars. You know what the dollar exchange rate now is. So if you want to calculate all those rates, you will know that the guys will definitely earn a lot. So exposure and whatever you're going to get from your kit to your stickers to your bags, your jerseys, all branded from the BAL. So all of this put together are the reasons why the players will always want to have that drive to get there. And it's also exposure for you to maybe get bigger clubs or even clubs in Europe. Yes, because some of these players have gotten as a stepping stone to go out there and play. So, but it's a big motivation for us. We missed out on it last year because after our inaugural edition in 2021, we returned back to the BAL. So, but last year we missed out on it because I think we didn't do our business well because we had areas we needed to fill in terms of players, especially in the center role. We are missing a big key player in the center role. We just had Victor Anthony Coco, who is the captain of the side, who had to do major work. So the player we had brought in last year to help out with the defensive duties, because of clearance issues and all of that, he was not allowed to play that crucial semi-final game, even though he was allowed to play in the group stage. The semi-final, which was crucial, it was really tough for us, and the other player who was left to do our defensive duty was not even fully fit. So it was down to us to really try to win it, but we missed out on it. And we learned our lessons. We went back and we looked at areas we need to beef up. We got the best of players into the team. Players we needed to let go, we allowed them. And players, some of this team that got into the league this season, they were already put together in days or even a week. Like a team like Hoopsan, even though Hoopsan already is not the first time in the league, but they were not in the league last year. So some of these teams were already put together. We just heard that the league is holding next month or in 2 weeks or 1 week, they already put this team together. Unlike we that have been together in January. And after that January, when we put this team together, we went for the invitational tournament, that's the Louis Eden tournament in February. But we lost that particular game also in the semi-final. So, but we couldn't win that. That was an invitational tournament. We had to go back and say, okay, yes, we've not done our job properly. There are things we need to work on ahead of the league. And before the league, look at the second edition of the Louis Eden tournament we held 6 months later in September. We won it because we stuck together, and if you don't keep your players together in the basketball league, it's very difficult. And I wouldn't really blame teams anyway, because most of these teams are not properly funded. Like for the River Supers are properly funded, even yes, there's always room for improvement. You always wish to have more motivation and more funding for the team like the River Supers. But I think for the little we get, we're happy with that in River State government. We're happy that yes, it's gonna take far, it's gonna take us to a particular level. So, but most of these teams don't have that privilege, and that is why they can't stick to keep these players together from January to this moment. But the River State government, whether the league is on because it's no fault of the players and the league is not on, and they don't want us to be caught unaware. So for that reason, they get to pay the players all through the year, so that at the end of it says the league is holding this month. That is not when you start to go to the market to look at players and teams and see who you will have to recruit. No, they don't want to catch anybody unaware. So these players were kept together all the way from January to this very moment, and that is why the chemistry, the synergy, and the style of play is now instilled in players. They understand each other and they understand what they need to do to get a win, and that's what the first fire can do, or even better, have that advantage.
Well, to complement what we have here on the local scene.
We have foreign players, and we don't believe in going for foreign players now when we have what it takes to win the league. We already have players here in Nigeria who apply their trade here, and we'll have what it takes to win the league. So I don't think there's any point going out there when what we have is right there. The only time we would have to go out to start looking out for play problem. It's played on courts. It's not about the brand off the court. Let's do business on court. But so far, we don't have a player coming from outside. We don't have a foreign player on the team. It's when it be if eventually we get to qualify and pick the BL ticket, then eventually we will have. It is not an option. It is something you want because it's part of the rules of the BL.
Many thanks, and Queen, for being part of the show. But I know you they say females, and I have with me on the show award-winning Sarah Davis. Maybe she want to have a word or two. They say women first, isn't it?
Well, I think she said, everything I would want to know about it, and it sounds really very interesting, very inspiring. It brings about a lot of hope that our team, River Supers will do the job for. They will get it. They talked about the grounding, when you eventually qualify to the bar. But then, as Rivers people, we will want to see River Supers get the job done. Like she said, to win the first 2 games, then hopefully that chance of meeting Customs in the finals, will be, very slim, and that's where we might just, have things working out, for us. So, but we'll just keep our fingers crossed and keep being positive that River Supers will be able to get the job done for us and make, River State proud and go all the way to the BAL, to represent, Nigeria.
Queen, just one moment. A lot of people know basketball and music to have a mix. Are we expecting that kind of atmosphere from tomorrow?
There'll be music. Definitely there'll be music, especially final day. There'll be music. You can't take away music away from basketball, go hand in hand. Just like what we have when we go for the BL in Dakar or Rwanda. It's always go hand in hand. So we'll do our best. We would have loved to have more things or more. You understand what I mean? You understand what I mean?
Right.
All the stuff and bringing it off this, but with the little we have, we'll manage and do our best.
Okay, many thanks, Queen. I'm sure that in the days ahead, we'll have you on a daily basis here on the show, because we'll definitely be following up the arrival of the teams today, and of course the matches starting from tomorrow as well, up till the very final. So we'll count on you for us to invade your privacy and your time within the period.
Don't have a problem. I'm always here to serve.
Thank you very much. And that's the way we take our first break on the show. When we return from the break, we'll look at some results coming in from the NBA and boxing. Don't forget, football, they say, is the king of sports. We'll bring them as well to you. Stay with us.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
In this, I mean,
category
whether weight, title category.
No, not at the professional level. This is a professional. This is the first time we're having to step up, in professional boxing after months of our success at the Commonwealth. Every boxer, especially after success, being part of the Commonwealth Games, the next thing is you have to either turn off or turn into professional boxing. And I think it's good that Oshoba has taken a step, higher by fighting for the boxer out there, hoping to take on her counterpart from Oshoba at the IBO.
If she does that, it then means she has the magic wand for Italian boxing.
Well, still in boxing, former two-time heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua from Nigeria has fired back at the recent statement by Deontay Wilder over his identity heading into the next clashes that's coming up in Saudi Arabia on the 23rd of December, to be specific. The two long-time rivals will co-head the big event in the separate fights that's coming up in December. But Deontay Wilder has no respect for the identity of Anthony Joshua.
Well, that's what happened when you're not consistent again. When you start losing, you lose your respect and all of that. But then tough talking is part of the game. They know how to throw words at each other, and of course the fact that they have a bout, coming in, not between the two of them, but then the pairs they are going to fight against two different opponents. Anthony Joshua will be fighting against another opponent, while he will be fighting against Joseph Parker. So he hasn't been engaged in any fight in the last 1 year. But then we see how all of this play out. But then we know that tough talking, showing words, banter is part of it, and that's what makes boxing more interesting.
Banter about nationality. Anthony Joshua, of course, we know is Nigerian, but now having a British passport as well. Well, I'm not sure nationality will have anything to do with it. It has to be raw power, and technique that will be on showcase on the 23rd of December in Saudi Arabia, where this will be very first, and of course, an undercard event that will herald what we think of Tyson Fury and his opponent as well. Well, we'll take a look at that subsequently on our shows, but for now, let's go to tennis. And Canada's Davis Cup defense has ended at the quarterfinal stage as Finland came from behind to win 2-1 and progressed to the last four at Malaga, that's in Spain. Miroslav Raonic made his first Davis Cup appearance in 5 years ago, if you remember, but he has to put the Canadian ahead with a 6-3, 7-5 victory over Patrick Glogovata. This is interesting. Raonic, one man that a lot of people believe will get very far in tennis, but I think he's now boxed down to just the Davis Cup.
Well, that didn't go their way, and of course, that's what it is. And nothing is certain when the subject is sports. Nothing is certain when the subject is sports. And talking about Canada, Canada had been dealt a blow before the start of the tie when top-ranked player Felix Auger-Aliassime was forced out to sit with a lower body issue, while the Finnish number one, that's Emil Ruusuvuori, was also missing through injury. Finland will play either Australia, who were runner-up last year, or the Czech Republic in the semi-finals. We understand today we will see Italy and the Netherlands meet at that match will be coming up on Thursday, while Great Britain's bid for Davis Cup glory also starts on Thursday, that's tomorrow, when they take on Serbia, led by, wait for it, world number one, Novak Djokovic, in the quarterfinals. That match will be coming at 3 p.m. in Nigerian time. Any opponent facing the Novak Djokovic, whether it's in his individual capacity or for his country, Serbia, should be on the watch out. Well, you said it, the man has been on the rise, he's been fantastic all through the year. I mean, leaving him, at the summit. No one seemed to be giving him threat. And when you see him, like you said, come up against any opponent, whether for his country, whether, and I mean, an individual, contest, of course, there will be that fear factor in his opponent going into that, encounter. But then, in sports, nothing is certain, especially in a situation where it is not, and the individual going up against, another individual. So everything and anything is still very possible.
Well, talking about Novak Djokovic, is one man who has been the world #1 for a period of running 400 weeks. No other player has had that glory. In fact, maybe Roger Federer had about 310 weeks as world #1. But now, which one you want to think? But then they are beginning to itch with points. In about today, they welcome, do I say, insurance.
Well, that's going to be a very tough one for Eimba.
These are two big names in there,
Games matches between these two sides, can be very competitive and fierce. And of course, if you look at the way things played out between the two of them, last season you want to give it to Bendel Insurance because in one of the fixtures they had, away in, Benin, it was Bendel Insurance that pipped them 1-0. The other two encounters ended, in a barren draw. I mean, in a draw. One ended in a 1-1 draw and the other ended in a barren draw. But then, this is a different season altogether. And for Bendel Insurance, they've not been able to get an away win this season. So they will also be hoping to hot Eimba and then get their first, away win of the season. But then take nothing away from Eimba. Eimba are a big side any day, anytime. And any team playing against them, who want to play their lives out. So we'll see what plays out, between the two sides. Like I said, every encounter between these two sides can be very, very competitive and fierce.
Insurance of Benin, one old name you want to say, and of course,
this win against Eimba, it will catapult them to the #2 position.
Eimba, defending champions, are not in any first 4, 5.
Well, Eimba has struggled, the same way, but when it gets to the very crucial moment of the league, you see them, turn out. That's what experience does for the Eimba side.
Eimba International have the experience to navigate past Insurance of Benin. 90 minutes today will tell which of these two sides will have the maximum points. And talking about the Nigerian Professional Football League, it's not just players that are, put on the showcase. We have the fans as well being watched. We understand that the fans of Sporting Lagos threw stones at the Hadland FC players in their match where Hadland FC, where they forced Hadland FC to a 1-1 draw in Lagos. And aftermath of fans, what do you make of fans still making the league, still bringing the league to disrepute?
Well, these things happen everywhere, but I think, it looks like, it's kind
one
of,
too many
one too many, especially on the African continent and even here in the MPFL. And I wonder why, that game, ended 90 minutes and there was extra 10 minutes. I think that was just too much. Maybe the referee should also be called to question it. But then, for Sporting Lagos, we hear that they have about 2-3 weeks, to appeal and all of that.
2 weeks, 14 days.
Yes, to appeal and all of that. So, I mean, let's hope that, this, fine stands, to set as precedent, for other clubs. I think this is the first team that has been hit, by this kind of, fine this season. And I hope that it sets, it comes as an example to other teams, the fans of other teams.
Well, I think it will have to see football being played in a very friendly.
Maybe they need to ask, Kano Pillars how these things work out.
Oh yes, because
they have to learn from
after
Kano
this
Pillars.
fine, there could be, ban of the stadium or even taking the team away to yet another.
And with the fine run in the front, the run they had, from the preseason to this level, if they don't manage their fans very well, they might just have a similar experience like what Kano Pillars had. So they need to find out from Kano Pillars.
And talking about form reminds me that Bayelsa United is not having a very good form in the Nigerian Professional Football League for this season, and for which the Bayelsa State Sports Commissioner Daniel Gali is calling on the team to brace up, especially not just Bayelsa United, Bayelsa Queen as well. They too seem to be having torrid time.
Well, last season and season before last, we saw Bayelsa Queens, did very well. Which also, made them to represent the continent, the country, 2 seasons ago. But for Bayelsa United, their story hasn't been fantastic. They get promotion, last season, and we felt, that, okay, the fact that they narrowly escaped and maintained their premiership status, things were going to, turn out, better for them this season. It hasn't been fine. And what else, do you expect, the commissioner to say than to tell them to brace up? I hope that, at some point, maybe right now, because the earlier the better, give them some, give them some 2-3 matches ultimatum and then see if things work out. Because that's one language players and coaches, understand. And we know how things play out on the African continent. The next thing you hear is that, their salaries are being, slammed. And of course, what do you expect? The to whom much is given, much is expected. So if you're not delivering, of course, you should be expecting some of, these, stiff, penalties coming your way. For Bayelsa United, we hope they do everything to ensure they maintain their premiership status. They are one side that have won the Confederations Cup. They have played, overtime, on the continent, and it's expected that, they get back to those glory days and begin to churn out results for themselves. Not a very good one for them.
Well, quickly, today at the Adokia Messi Mecca Stadium at 4 p.m. Nigerian time, Rivers Angels will be in action against Edo Queens in one of the fixtures for the league this season. Traditional rivals, you want to say?
Yeah, traditional rivals. But then, this is a new season altogether, a second match of the season. And last season and 2 seasons ago, Rivers United haven't been biting. Rivers Angels, they haven't been biting the way they are known for. Any team that wants to play against the Rivers Angels years back will have it in their mind that they are going in, for a loss, for a defeat. But that fear factor is no longer, with them. We hope that, the fact that they were able to get a draw on the road, and the first match will rub off on them, and then they take advantage of home factor and then get the result against Edo Queens. Edo Queens not a pushover side. They have a lot of confidence coming into this game. Remember, they won the last edition, that's about a month ago, of the Godwin Obaseki women's tournament. So they have a lot of motivation. They got quality players. They got a good coach, and we hope that Rivers Angels will turn the tide around and begin to get the.
Talking about Rivers, we have the Rivers Angels playing tonight, but the United team from Rivers will be playing on Sunday at the Gospel Apabio Stadium in a continental tie. They have their counterparts from Angola. We call them Academica do Lobito from Angola in a CAF Confederations group stage fixture. How prepared is Rivers United ahead of this Sunday fixture?
Well, I'm really worried, the fact that the Rivers United haven't been doing well in the league. Yeah, we've had, 9 matches, going into the new season. They've had 3 wins, 3 losses, and then 3 wins, 3 losses, and 3 draws. It's not the best of time, to play Rivers United. But maybe sometimes, if you don't get to do well, in the domestic, in the home front, you probably will do well, on the continent. They have been the most consistent side, on the continent for a Nigerian club side. And we hope that, what they did last season, they were good last season, even though at some point, they fizzled out. But then we hope that the fact that they are not doing well in the home front, we might just, be seen as, a blessing in disguise, and then they put up a good show against their opponent come this weekend when they play at the Gospel Akpabio International Stadium. They know what is at stake, carrying the only man standing for Nigeria, carrying the hopes of all Nigerians on their shoulder, and we hope that we will be at the Gospel Akpabio International Stadium to give them all the maximum support to ensure that they get the victory. And we know how things have been, playing out for Rivers United at the Gospel Akpabio International Stadium. We've had the fans, coming out knowing fully that it's a Nigerian project, not just a Rivers project.
Nigerian project, that's what Rivers United represents in this fixture. It's Rivers United of Nigeria that will play against their counterparts from Angola. Well,
but come to think of it, I wonder why this team, is struggling, because they are one of the sides, that are well, cared for, motivated, here in Nigeria. So I don't know what the problem is. I was at the stadium. Though I know to some extent that maybe the fact that they are not able to get, some of the big names, that left aside, this season, maybe they have not been able to get, those, replacement very well. But then, the handlers of the team will have to, think very fast.
Well, I was at the stadium in the last encounter at the Premier League fixture a few days ago, and the coach of the team, Evans Ogeyi, did mention that the assistant coach that every team has their low moment and they navigate it, and that's
we have heard about this low moment for a very long time, and we think that it's just the right time.
Yeah, he was saying that with the win, over Abia Warriors 2-1, and that this is
so hearts would have
the proper.
Well, I do think that the fact that